you are exhausted, not because your muscles are failing, but because your mind is a tightly wound spring that has forgotten how to release. You lie in bed at night, staring into the dark, feeling the phantom momentum of a race you never signed up to run. Before we walk together into the quiet and learn how to dismantle this invisible pressure, I gently invite you to subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel, where we create safe, slow spaces for your restless mind to finally breathe. Let us look at that heavy, anxious feeling sitting right behind your ribs. You know the exact sensation I mean. It is the persistent, gnawing whisper that tells you that you are falling behind, that if you stop moving for even a single second, the entire architecture of your life will collapse into dust. I have watched this happen to so many of us, and I have felt it deeply in my own bones. We live our lives like passengers on a runaway locomotive, watching the scenery blur into meaningless streaks of grey and brown. We do not see the trees or the shape of the clouds anymore. We only feel the terrifying vibration of the metal beneath our feet and the frantic rhythm of an engine pushed far past its limits. You wake up every morning already feeling late. Late for what? You do not even know anymore. The destination has lost its meaning, and only the panic of the journey remains. You drink your tea not to taste it, but to fuel the machine. You move through your days as if you are trying to outrun a dark, heavy storm cloud that is constantly snapping at your heels. When you look in the mirror, you see the exhaustion etched into the corners of your eyes. You see a person who has given everything to a world that only ever demands more. You sacrifice your sleep, your peace, and your very essence to keep the plates spinning. We are terrified of the crash. You imagine the catastrophic noise of all those plates shattering on the floor, the judgment of others, the overwhelming shame of not being able to hold it all together. But what if the crash is exactly what you need? What if letting the plates fall is the only way to free your hands? What if the things that break were never meant to be carried by you in the first place? The tragedy is that even when you are granted a moment of stillness, you cannot take it. When the house is finally quiet, when all the obligations of the day have been met, you sit down, and a profound, agonizing guilt washes over you. You feel like a truant child playing hooky from the school of life. The silence does not feel like rest. It feels like a threat. It feels like an accusation. You start to invent new tasks, sweeping a floor that is already clean, organizing things that do not need organizing, just to appease the demanding tyrant in your head that equates stillness with worthlessness. Your heart races, your breathing turns shallow, and you find yourself trapped in a paradox where resting is more exhausting than working. This is the sickness of perpetual motion. I call it the phantom sprint. It is a psychological state where your nervous system becomes a stretched rubber band, vibrating with tension, ready to snap at any moment. Imagine a wild animal being chased by a predator through a dense, tangled forest. That animal is fighting for its survival, running until its lungs burn and its muscles scream. But you are running that same sprint while sitting perfectly still at your kitchen table. The predator is not behind you. The predator is inside your own mind, disguised as an endless list of unfulfilled expectations. You carry a mountain of invisible weights on your back, constantly adjusting the load, terrified that if you drop even one stone, you will be deemed a failure. You measure your value by how much exhaustion you can endure. But let me tell you something I have discovered through years of quietly observing the human soul. Speed is the most convincing illusion of progress. We move fast because we are terrified of what we might hear if we stand still. Constant motion is the thickest armor we wear to avoid facing our own deepest questions. When you strip away the frantic busyness, what is left? Just you, alone with your heartbeat and the quiet truths you have been running away from. It is no wonder you are afraid to stop. Stopping means feeling the grief you postponed. Stopping means acknowledging the loneliness you covered up with tasks. Stopping means looking at the compass and realizing you might be walking in the wrong direction entirely. We fill every empty space in our lives with noise, because the silence demands an honest conversation with ourselves, and that honesty can be terrifying. You convince yourself that if you just finish one more task, answer one more letter, organize one more room, you will finally earn your peace. But the finish line keeps moving. It is a horizon you can never reach, no matter how many hundreds of kilometers you run. The exhaustion sinks into your marrow. You become a shadow walking through your own existence, entirely disconnected from the beauty of the present. I want you to understand that this is not your fault. You have been conditioned by a collective illusion that worships speed and punishes slowness. But you do not have to participate in this illusion anymore. You cannot run forever. The human spirit was not designed to operate like a tireless machine. We are organic creatures, governed by seasons and tides, built for cycles of deep exertion and profound undisturbed rest. Think of a glass of muddy water that has been shaken violently. As long as you keep moving the glass, as long as you keep agitating it, the water remains cloudy, opaque, and chaotic. You cannot see through it. You cannot understand what is inside it. The only way to clarify the water is to set the glass down on a stable table and leave it completely alone. It requires no effort. It requires only patience. Slowly, gradually, the particles of dirt and sand begin to sink to the bottom. The water becomes crystal clear. The dirt does not disappear, of course. Your problems do not vanish into thin air. But when the water settles, the dirt rests quietly at the bottom, and you can finally see exactly what you are dealing with. You gain perspective. You gain clarity. You realize that most of the things you were frantically running away from were just shadows cast by your own anxious mind. This is what happens to you when you finally grant yourself the permission to practice slow living. Slow living is not about moving at a snail pace just for the sake of it. It is not about abandoning your responsibilities or staring blankly at a wall. It is a deliberate, courageous act of rebellion against the internal panic. It is the conscious decision to reclaim your attention and your time. I want you to imagine stepping off that runaway train. The momentum throws you off balance for a moment, but your feet hit solid ground. The roaring noise of the engine fades into the distance, leaving you in a quiet, sunlit meadow. At first, the silence is deafening. Your ears ring. Your body vibrates with residual panic. But then you take a breath. Just one breath. You notice the air moving into your lungs. You notice the way the light filters through the leaves of an old oak tree nearby. The tree does not rush to grow. It does not anxiously pull itself upward to compete with the sky. It simply spreads its roots deep into the earth and allows the rain and the sun to do their work in their own perfect time. A tree growing 50 meters tall does not do so by rushing. It does so by being steadfastly present in every single season. You too must learn to be present in your own seasons. You must learn the exquisite art of lingering. We have forgotten how to linger. To linger is to stay in a place just a little longer than necessary to extract the hidden joy from an ordinary moment. Imagine walking through a foggy forest path at dawn. The mist is thick, cooling your skin, masking the distant horizon, so you can only see the few meters directly in front of you. You are forced to walk slowly. You cannot rush because the fog demands reverence. You hear the snapping of twigs underfoot, the gentle rustle of leaves, the quiet breathing of the woods. There is no destination to reach before the sun burns the fog away. The act of walking is the entire purpose. Every step is a destination in itself. When you learn to walk like this through your own life, the relentless pressure begins to dissolve. This is the pace of the human soul. Unhurried, grounded, observing. When you make a cup of tea, do not treat it as a task to be completed. Feel the warmth of the ceramic mug against your palms. Watch the steam rise and curl into the air like a tiny, solitary ghost. Taste the bitterness and the warmth. Let the liquid warm your throat and settle in your chest. When you walk outside, do not walk just to arrive at your destination. Feel the uneven ground beneath your shoes. Notice the intricate patterns of frost, or the way the shadows stretch across the pavement. Watch the dust motes dancing lazily in a beam of afternoon sunlight. These are not trivial details. These are the anchors that pull your mind out of the terrifying, imagined future and bring it back to the safe, tangible present. You must stop waiting for the perfect moment to rest. The perfect moment will never arrive, because your anxious mind will always invent a new emergency. Rest must be taken unapologetically. You do not need to earn your right to exist by being productive. Your worth is not measured by the weight you carry or the speed at which you move. You are allowed to take up space simply by being alive. You are allowed to do nothing. I repeat this because it is the hardest truth to accept. You are allowed to do absolutely nothing, and you are still worthy of love, of peace, and of joy. Imagine taking that heavy backpack off your shoulders, the one filled with guilt, expectations, and the relentless pressure to perform. Picture yourself unbuckling the straps. Let it slide down your arms and drop to the floor with a heavy, satisfying thud. Roll your shoulders. Feel the sudden, beautiful lightness in your chest. The air comes easier now. You can breathe deeply, all the way down into your belly. If this gentle shift in perspective brings you comfort, please subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel so we can continue this journey toward inner quiet together. You are safe now. The storm has passed. You do not have to run anymore. You can walk slowly. You can stop completely. You can sit on the porch and watch the world spin without feeling the need to spin with it. Close your eyes for a second and feel the solid earth beneath you. It is holding you up without requiring any effort on your part. You can surrender your weight to it. You can let go of the control you fought so desperately to maintain. The universe is not going to fall apart because you decided to rest. The stars will continue to shine, the rivers will continue to flow, and the earth will continue to turn, all without your exhausting intervention. The only thing that will happen when you stop is that you will finally meet yourself again, like an old friend waiting patiently at the end of a long, arduous journey. You will look into the quiet spaces of your own soul and realize that everything you were running toward was already inside you, waiting to be noticed. Welcome home.